Hey, today on Woodworking with Wes, I want to show you something that I've never really showed you before or done before. It's called a blind dado. Now, just to explain to you what a blind dado is, you know what a dado is. A dado is a cut into a piece of wood that allows another piece to go into it and gives it strength or alignment. A blind dado is a dado that doesn't go all the way through your piece of wood, and another piece of wood that goes into it that has a notch that allows for it to still come out to the surface. The best way to do it is to demonstrate. So let's get started. Okay, to get started, I want to show you that what we're using for this demonstration is just 3/4 inch melamine, and I have ironed on a wood edge, a real wood edge. In fact, I used dark walnut in order to give a contrast so that you could see what we're doing. To get started, let's show you. I used my stacked dado head. Now, I always show you my Freud stacked dado set because I like it so well. Anyway, I have it all set up, and I have it set up for 3/4 of an inch, which is the thickness of our material. I also have it set up already at 1/8 of an inch high. And I've taken a scrap piece here, and I've made some sample cuts to get exactly what I wanted. One of the things I've done, like I say, your dado doesn't go all the way through. You see how I haven't gone all the way through? It doesn't go all the way through. And over here on my saw, I'm going to show you two marks. This mark right here, this first one, is where my dado head comes through the surface of my saw. So that's where it starts cutting right there. This mark right here is where I want to stop my piece of wood as I'm pushing it through so that my dado cut doesn't go clear through my wood. I'm going to go ahead and make a couple of cuts. I'm going to make these be my upright pieces. Here's the surface of the wood that we're going to cut. We're going to turn the face of it that we don't want to cut through toward me. So let's go ahead and set this up, and we're going to push it through, and we're going to push through till this edge lines up with this mark. Let's go ahead and make a preliminary cut and just make sure. Let me get my glasses on here so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, we're just going to leave this right here until that comes to a stop. But you can see how we stopped at the mark right there. All right. And there is our dado that is only, it comes up, but not all the way through our surface. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and make a couple more of these just because I want to be able to show you a couple of them put together as though I was going to do a shelf. Let's go ahead and do one here. Same thing. Again, stopping at my mark. When you're doing something like this, don't let go of your piece of wood because it'll spit at you. So I'm making sure that even though I'm waiting for my dado's head to come to a stop, I'm making sure I don't let go of my piece of wood. Okay, all right. And there's our two cuts right there that we're going to mess with a little bit. Now, our piece of wood that we come here with, you can see how that lines up. But if we were to push this all the way through, we don't line up here like we're supposed to. So we have to make a little cut on the edge of our shelf. We do that, or at least I do that, on the jointer. Let's go ahead and get it set up with the jointer. The dados that we've made are only of 1/8 of an inch thick, or 1/8 of an inch deep, I should say. I have my jointer set up so that it cuts 1/8 of an inch into my piece of wood. I'll be pushing it here, and it will take 1/8 of an inch cut. I have a little mark right here on my fence that I've made. I want to stop my cut at 2 inches back. On my test piece, I determined that this little mark is my 2-inch mark. Okay, let's go ahead and do a piece. I'm going to pull the guard back Now you wouldn't do this typically, but I'm going to pull that back so that you can see the cutter. I'm going to make sure my hands are back and out of the way, and I'm going to keep my hand up on top of my piece. I just want you to be able to see it cutting. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, now that it's stopped, you can see that I stopped at my little mark that I had put here. Now that's a very faint little mark. I hope you can see that, but I stopped at that little faint mark that I had put there so that I stopped my cut at my 2-inch mark. Now, if my dado was 1/4 of an inch deep, this would be 1/4 of an inch deep here too. So whatever the depth of your dado is, also has to be the depth of your cut back. So let's move our jointer out of the way and let's show you how it fits. Okay, now that we've got our little notch cut, let's see how this does. Now, typically if I was putting together, say, the thing that you would use this for is if you were making anything with a shelf that was going to be stationary, any kind of a joint where a bottom or a top or a shelf comes into the side here, where you don't want it to come through, especially if you have some sort of painted or decorative edge that you don't want to be disturbed. And you just slide that up there and it's nice and smooth. I'm going to pull this up real tight so the camera can see. And you can see what a nice joint that makes, and you don't see how that fits in there. It's blind. It's completely hidden. Let's put this other one in here. I went ahead and did 2. Let's go ahead and slide this other one in here. And you can see how that would make just a wonderful little bookcase if it was going to be solid shelves. And you can just see what the nice thing about it. I'm going to tell you one other advantage, one other thing that you might like for a blind dado that really makes a difference. If you're putting something together that is going to be put together with blind dados, if you had a a piece that was a real wood surface instead of a melamine surface, you could do all of your finish in your separate pieces and then put it together as a pre-finished piece, and you wouldn't have to worry about trying to paint inside these little areas, spray, or get a brush in there. You could do all of this flat, and you could put it together afterwards, and you wouldn't be able to see any inconsistency in your finish because it would all be done nice and flat. And it would just be a wonderful way to make it all come together. And those front joints on the face, perfectly flat, perfectly smooth. Oh, I didn't have it glued. And you would glue it in, and the glue would hold, and that would be your construction method. And it's just such a wonderful little way to put things together. It makes it very secure, and it really adds another dimension to your woodworking and to your ability to make good furniture. So, blind dados, don't forget, we'll learn something else next time when we come back on Woodworking with Wes.